In 2026, something strange happened. No big announcement, no viral interview, no dramatic comeback speech, and yet somehow Justin Bieber was everywhere again. Not louder, not bigger, just unavoidable. There was a time when the internet couldn't escape him. Every song, every headline, every moment felt constant. And then slowly, it stopped. Fewer appearances, less noise, less access. It wasn't a clean break, more like a slow fade into the background. And in a world that feeds on attention, disappearing is the most dangerous thing you can do. Because when you're gone long enough, people start to wonder why. At first, people moved on. New artists, new trends, new obsessions. That's how the internet works, it doesn't wait. But something was different this time. Because even when the spotlight shifted, his name never fully disappeared. It lingered in old clips, in nostalgic playlists, in comments saying he was ahead of his time, and slowly the narrative started to change. There was no official return, no "I'm back" moment, just fragments, a clip here, a sound there, a random appearance that felt intentional. Nothing loud enough to dominate headlines, but just enough to spark conversation. And that's when it started. Not a comeback, but a build-up driven by the one thing more powerful than marketing: curiosity. At some point, without warning, the energy changed. Clips spread faster, crowds felt louder, reactions felt real again. And suddenly, people weren't just remembering him, they were watching closely, trying to understand what was happening. But there was no explanation, no interviews breaking it down, no posts spelling it out, just momentum. And momentum on the internet doesn't need permission. And then came the moment people would later call Biberchella 2026. Not an official festival, not a planned rebrand, just a name the internet created because nothing else could describe it. Clips from performances, crowds singing louder than the speakers, moments that didn't feel staged, they felt earned. And within days, it wasn't just an event anymore, it was a phenomenon. But what makes this even stranger is that it didn't feel like a comeback at all. It didn't feel like someone returning to reclaim attention. It felt like attention quietly returning on its own. And that changes everything. Because in the past, comebacks were loud. Artists would announce them, promote them, explain them, almost convince the audience why they mattered again. But this time, none of that happened. Justin Bieber didn't chase relevance, relevance found him. And that's a completely different kind of power. Because when the audience feels like they are the ones rediscovering something, the connection becomes stronger, almost personal. It's no longer just content, it becomes a moment they feel part of. And the internet thrives on moments like that. Moments that don't feel manufactured, moments that feel accidental, even when they're not. And maybe that's exactly what made Biberchella 2026 so different. It didn't look like a strategy, it looked like something that just happened. But if you look closer, there's a pattern, a very specific one. First, the silence, then the fragments, then the reactions, and finally, the explosion. It's almost like the entire thing followed a rhythm, one that feels natural but is incredibly difficult to replicate. Because most people don't have the patience to disappear. Most people are afraid that if they stop posting, stop showing up, they'll be forgotten. But in this case, the opposite happened. The absence created space, and that space made everything that came after feel bigger. Every clip felt more important, every appearance felt more rare, every moment felt like it meant something. And in an attention economy where everything is constant, rarity becomes value. And that's where things start to shift. Because once something feels rare, people start paying closer attention. They start sharing it faster, they start talking about it more. Not because they're told to, but because they want to. And that's when it stops being controlled. That's when it becomes organic. And organic attention is the most powerful kind there is. You can't force it, you can't fake it. And once it starts, it moves on its own. And that's exactly what happened here. Biberchella wasn't pushed into existence, it was pulled into existence by the audience itself. And by the time people realized what was happening, it was already too big to ignore. It was everywhere, but it didn't feel overexposed. It was viral, but it didn't feel forced. And that's a very rare balance. Because usually, the more something spreads, the faster people get tired of it. But this time, the opposite happened. The more it spread, the more people leaned in, trying to understand it, trying to be part of it, trying not to miss it. And that quiet fear of missing out is what kept it alive. Not marketing, not promotion, just momentum. So how did he do it? No announcements, no overexposure, no chasing attention, just 3 things: silence, timing, and letting the audience do the talking. Because when people feel like they discovered something on their own, they care more, they share more, they believe it more, and that's exactly what happened. This wasn't a traditional comeback, it didn't follow the rules, it didn't even try to, and maybe that's the point, because in 2026, winning the internet isn't about being the loudest voice in the room, it's about knowing when to say nothing at all. And somehow, Justin Bieber understood that better than anyone. The real question is, who's next?